Well, it was completely surprising. I came across it. I'm used to doing a survey or, people collecting data through direct questions. So my first reaction was an emotional reaction of, wow, this is really interesting. I don't exactly understand what's happening right now, but I'm going to go forward and trust the process. It was so different, but I would also say it was calming in a way because I'm used to lots of data, right? People asking you for information, sending you 1,000 emails. This was a bit of a breath of fresh air for me because it was more emotional, the connection to the process.
We spoke with Stefon Harris, co-director of Express Newark at Rutgers University, and consultant Wendy Watson-Hallowell about how they used Constellations to build trust, align their team, and uncover shared values during a period of organizational transformation.
I'm Wendy. I've had a chance to work with Stefon and Natasha for Express Newark. They're in the middle of helping to transform it, and they're doing an incredible job. And we used Constellations early to get alignment internally with staff.
I'm Stefon Harris. I'm the co-director here at Express Newark. My role at Express Newark is really much more connected to helping us stay on mission, vision, communicating externally, connecting, creating opportunities.
When Stefon and the new leadership team stepped into Express Newark, they faced a challenge many organizations encounter during periods of change. How do you build trust and alignment before moving forward?
So this is a year of transition. Myself and Natasha and Nick Klein, we've all come in as a new leadership team. So we had to make sure that we earn trust right away, making sure that everyone feels seen, heard, because they don't know us as leaders coming in. We knew that it was important to slow down and make sure that everyone felt on board and excited and energized to move forward. So there is a dynamic of, I think, needing to get buy-in right away and not move too fast until you have that. So coming into our situation, there was a good amount of, I wouldn't say resistance, there was just hesitation. People were in that, let's wait and see. I don't know what to believe based on what happened before. I don't know what they're going to do. So we had to deal with that.
To navigate that transition, the team needed a way to understand where people aligned, uncover shared values, and build confidence in future decisions.
With working with Wendy, she helped us understand how important it is to make sure that everyone feels like their voice is a part of the discussion, that our values are aligned. And in order to confirm that, you really needed to have a survey. You needed to have a set of questions that actually led us towards being able to articulate our values without being pushed in one direction or the other. So that's what brought Constellations to Express Newark, was our work with Wendy.
The alignment work also came at a pivotal time for the organization.
A big part of the work that we're doing with Wendy is really about strategic realignment. We're coming into our 10th year anniversary next year. So we really are going to be given the opportunity to announce again who we are at our core. Everyone being aligned so that when we're not in the building, Natasha, Nick, and I, everyone is delivering the same message so that it's consistent. And also, even we want people who aren't a part of Express Newark, when they're talking about us, they're delivering a consistent message. So we're doing the hard work this year of being able to articulate that brand and that message.
When you guys first saw Constellations, what were your initial reactions to it?
Well, it was completely surprising. I came across it. I'm used to doing a survey or, people collecting data through direct questions. So my first reaction was an emotional reaction of, wow, this is really interesting. I don't exactly understand what's happening right now, but I'm going to go forward and trust the process. It was so different, but I would also say it was calming in a way because I'm used to lots of data, right? People asking you for information, sending you 1,000 emails. This was a bit of a breath of fresh air for me because it was more emotional, the connection to the process.
Right. Usually you have to use your words to describe those emotions or what you're trying to get across, but this still felt emotional, even though it was through visuals and you didn't actually have to use the specific words to articulate those emotions.
That's right. And I think there's something that's akin to music, actually. People often say music begins where words end, right? There are things that you can articulate in sound and in art that are really difficult to articulate in words. I felt that, like, if I were looking at a certain type of language being presented to me, I probably would feel compelled to answer in a tone that's related to that language. Here, I felt I can just basically answer from the heart.
No swaying one way or another based on anybody else's opinions or anything like that.
Yeah, another thing that was really interesting for me, because I really loved the process, is I would also tell you in getting direct questions in other surveys, like a lot of times you'll give a work answer, if that makes sense. Right? Here,
Yeah, you're trying to keep it professional, or
yeah,
it's not true what's in your heart, maybe.
that's right. So when I responded, it was really a personal response, which was beautiful, and I think gives a deeper insight into the people that make up our organization.
What would you say was that moment where it just clicked, like, wow, this is working, and understanding what we're trying to do?
Well, I think it's the reveal of the synthesis of the data. Going through the process, you're just you let go. It's like, oh, this feels good to me. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm imagining, how does this land in my community? What are we trying to do? But I didn't understand what was happening going through the process. I just know that I felt safe. I didn't feel, you know, I didn't feel like there was a wrong answer, right? Which is great. The aha moment for me was when the response, the interpretation of it, it was so clarifying. And I just thought it was one of the most beautiful ways that I've seen someone get information out of people.
Would you say once you saw the results, that was what surprised you the most? Was the alignment or what people picked? What was the most surprising factor, you think?
I think it very much was a confirmation of what we sensed, right? But the process actually delivered evidence. You can sense that this is where people, how they feel, but you don't really know until you give people the opportunity to express themselves anonymously. But it did show that there was really strong alignment around the majority of the values. And it also illuminated where there was an alignment, which we had a sense of, but we needed evidence, and we knew that we needed to do something about it. But it transitions us from the leadership needs to change this to, as a community, as an organization, this is not what we believe in. So now my role as a leader, I'm not dogmatic about it. My role is to be a facilitator to help affect the change that is being generated from the people who make up this organization.
For Stefon, the impact wasn't just visible in the results, it was visible in how the team responded to them.
I think it was a really positive response. I think people were pleasantly surprised, right? You have organizations and you go through strategic planning and you go through the process, and you have consultants you're working with. And I think people were tired because it's 10 years and they've been through a whole bunch of consultants and not necessarily feeling included in the end result. So there was that hesitance. But I felt like when we presented the data, I think people were surprised because, like, again, it felt safe. And I'm speaking to you as a director, but also as a faculty lead. I just felt safe. I felt an affirmation, and I felt a deeper sense of connection personally to everyone in the room.
One of the biggest differences that Stefon noticed was that Constellations didn't just ask people what they thought, it allowed them to access how they felt.
I didn't feel like I had to present my work self, right? I really want to just get to the heart of what it is that I'm saying. And oftentimes, I think in work, we don't allow ourselves to lead with intuition. And intuition is incredibly valuable, particularly around understanding relationships. So the direct question doesn't engage my intuition. This, I felt, engaged my intuition and got the best of me in ways that I didn't understand fully. I don't think I was going to be able to articulate it as clearly as the results showed in the survey. Sometimes when you're asked a direct question, particularly as it pertains to work, if you don't know the answer, you feel compelled to give an answer, right? Even though it might not authentically be where there was no moment like that. But there are certainly questions you could ask me where I wouldn't necessarily know the best answer, but I can figure something out in the spot. So, which is not the best data that you want from me. You want what's most authentic from me.
Right. You felt like you could be honest and you didn't have to think about how you were trying to be honest. You just were able to be.
Yep. So, I mean, I think that's an incredible strength. Another strength is, again, I think there's a fatigue with going through processes like this with many organizations. People have done it and it's, here we go again.
Right?
This was just
repetition.
disarming. It just didn't feel like that. It was like a fun little quick thing that you did. And I didn't know that it was going to yield the type of depth that it did. It feels fun. It's easy to do. It's not a drain on your time. It's not a drain on your emotions. It's actually a relief in a lot of ways. And again, I'm inspired by the experience. The other thing that I think it was able to help us get past defensiveness, right? Because again, if you're asking direct questions, someone is like, well, I know they think this. They're filtering their answers through the past, right? It's hard to get someone to be present, honest, authentic in the moment. There was no opportunity to really be defensive. There was no need to be defensive. So that's
You could just fully let your guard down.
yep.
How would you describe this tool or the process to a peer or a colleague or somebody who hasn't used it?
That's a great question.
I know that's a little, yeah,
That's a great question. I think it's not that I would lead with the details. I probably would lead with the excitement of the experience that I had. I said, wow, I just went through this really great thing at Express Newark. It's really fun. It yielded these incredible results. It was fast. It was easy. It was innovative. I would start with that, just because again, people have gone through processes to get information. It doesn't feel like a better mousetrap. It feels like something new. If I were running 50 companies and I had 10 companies where people were just blocked and they were stubborn and they were defensive, this is the tool I would use.
Going forward, are there other ways that you guys want to continue to explore?
So it's very serendipitous timing for us as an organization. We have a new chancellor who we love, who has a strong focus on research, typically in the field of the arts, particularly around interacting with community. We don't always think of the arts through the lens of research, right? So I'm thinking about, if we're doing research related to understanding the impact of the arts and community on people's lives, I don't think we can go to the community who come into our building with a survey of 50 questions, right? But I think this experience is very, very well suited for people who aren't necessarily in a corporate setting or an academic setting to feel comfortable, and you can get to the heart of what they feel in ways that they may not be able to articulate in words.
Our CEO had a few questions to ask Stefon and Wendy as well.
Stefon, I had one question. What would you say the 1 to 3 big impacts this process had on the group, on the organization? What were some of the results that were positive and lasting?
I think because it's such a engaging process, there's joy in it, that people let go of the fight for a moment, and that's really hard to break through when someone has made up their mind and they're stubborn. It's difficult. So I think that's really, really useful, specifically in an organization that's struggling with that.
Did it help you make any big decisions once you got everybody to participate? Were there things that were kind of a struggle that you felt that knot was kind of untied?
I would say the biggest thing specifically for our organization is we have one area around art exhibitions that we're trying to figure out how to handle. It's difficult, politically challenging, et cetera, et cetera. What the process did is it showed that not everyone, but the vast majority were all on the same page about this challenge. So most people aren't going to articulate that. They're going to stay in their lane. Hey, I do film, I do music. I don't have anything to do with that. But this really gave us an opportunity to say, as a community, we all are pretty much on the same page. I don't think I was going to be able to get that information out of someone in music or in dance. I think most people wouldn't offer that kind of information because it's outside of their lane.
For Stefon, the value of the process went beyond the decisions it helped inform.
I feel like it's connected to the arts. You're really tapping on like the magic of music, the magic of dance, the magic of visual arts to get past words.
I would love to get some thoughts from Wendy. Do you have any thoughts or big takeaways, reflections?
When I think about the process, I wasn't really clear about how this was going to play out. Until we had that conversation, it was real clear, hey, this is going to actually help everyone get to the same values. that's when the light bulb went on for me. And interestingly enough, it actually helped us do that. It made it so easy. I also saw decisions being made more easily instead of the personal stuff. I mean, I really saw some huge, wow, I didn't expect some of the folks to be like, yeah, we have to make that decision, because that they've been very hesitant to make decisions up until then. So again, it made it safe. I think the way Stefon talked about it. What excites me about how Express Newark thinks about things is, how is this getting us closer to the kind of change we're trying to get to, and how do we know? And then this group can really help Rutgers and ultimately the city by being able to use it from a research perspective.
Of course, I'm inspired by some of the information we got out of our family here at Express Newark, but I'm more intrigued about the idea that you can get information about community members. You're going to get them to express and share how they really feel in a way that I don't think we would accomplish with direct questions.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm excited to see that too.
We wanted to thank Stefon and Wendy for taking the time to talk with us. It was insightful to hear about their experience. If you want to learn more about how Constellations can help your institution, visit constellations.app.